What's up, Spurs fans? Tonight is game four of the NBA Finals between the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks. This is Shivam Patel coming to you with the Spurs practice report. The Knicks are up in this series 2 games to 1 after winning the first 2 games in San Antonio, but the Spurs were able to steal game three in New York 115 to 111, and it sets up for a huge game tonight. Will the Knicks take a commanding 3-1 lead, or will the Spurs tie the series at 2 games apiece going back to San Antonio? So far, with the injury report, everybody is clear. Wemby did not get suspended after an apparent shove to Jalen Brunson after they kind of got tangled up a little bit. Both players were grabbing one another's jersey. That came out of the league yesterday. I wasn't suspecting that Wemby was going to get suspended. I thought it was just regular shove. It wasn't a punch at all. So I think it was good on the league that they were not able to give Wemby a flagrant one. Therefore, he would not been able to play in this game four. So right now, all the pressure is on the New York Knicks coming into this game because, like I said, the New York Knicks do not want to be tied at 2 games apiece going back to San Antonio. And so far in this game, I think the Spurs need to really focus on rebounding the basketball. That is the biggest key for me that I'm watching because the Spurs lost the rebounding battle 46 to 37. They allowed 21 second chance points for the Knicks. And a lot of those times when Mitchell Robertson or Cat got the offensive rebound, they led to wide open threes. And fortunately for the Spurs, the Knicks did not make those threes that they were able to make in games one and two. And that not only starts with Wemby, who needs to have more than 8 rebounds tonight if the Spurs want to win, but also the guards need to do a better job of crashing the paint, helping out the big guys because the Knicks guards love to rebound. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, etc. Dylan Harper did his job the last game. He had 9 rebounds, which was huge being a point guard. So that's going to be the key. You cannot allow the Knicks to get second chance opportunities. Also, the Spurs need to do a good job of not turning the ball over like they did in game three, because then that means the Knicks are not able to get in transition and they struggle at times, in the half court offense, trying to come up with their sets. And like Mike Brown said after the last game, he felt like the Knicks were a little bit too stagnant and there was not a much ball movement. Well, that's what happens when you force them to play in the half court. You make them hold on to the ball, not make quick decisions, and get late in the shot clock, and they ended up forcing bad shots. So the Spurs need to replicate that strategy for sure. And then I liked it at times they were playing Brunson straight up, but also at times they were doubling Jalen Brunson, forcing the ball out of his hands. And when they did that, the Spurs did a really good job of their defensive rotations because you do not want Jalen Brunson to pass it to a wide open player that can shoot a three. So the Spurs were doing a good job contesting, making themselves big, and rotating to not allow the Knicks to have open shots. And then they need to continue to make the Knicks turn the ball over because they had some very sloppy turnovers, which was as a result of the Spurs' stingy, aggressive, physical defense. I think the rest were letting the Spurs play. The Spurs did a great job of not being too physical, but also making the Knicks feel them. And that's why they fatigued out in the fourth quarter, especially. I also like the fact that the Spurs really did a great job of getting to the foul line. I know Knicks fans would have complained about the foul disparity, but the Knicks got called for 23 fouls. The Spurs got called for 21. It was even. It's just that the Knicks were fouling the Spurs early in the quarter. 4 fouls get you in the bonus, and then any foul after that, then you just march straight to the free throw line. It's automatic free throws. That's what happened a lot. The Knicks were definitely hacking and fouling. So the Spurs need to be the aggressive team, take it to the Knicks on both ends of the floor, and really get to the foul line because then that can really help negate this really stingent Knicks defense. Also, for some lineup stuff, I think that they're going to continue the Spurs or continue to experiment with those small lineups. At times, it did work in game three. It did not work as much in game one or two, where Wemby plays is the only big man on the floor, and you either play Carter Bryant or Shane Penny at the four with the 3 guards of either Fox, Harper, and Castle. So I think that lineup had some success, but you have to be careful playing that lineup because even though that gives Knicks problems on the defensive end of the floor, and they had a tough time guarding the 3 Slash brothers with Fox, Harper, and Castle. I think just in general, it really lends you to getting exploited on the rebounds and when the Spurs have to play on defense. So Mitch Johnson needs to be very calculated because the Knicks don't play a lot of those small lineups. They're either going to have Mitchell Robinson or Cat on the floor at the same time, maybe even both, like they did in Game 3. So I like the times when they did play those lineups because then that really stretched out the Knicks defense. But also, if the guards rebound and really crash the boards, like I said earlier, that can help this lineup be stay on the floor longer. And just in general, it's going to be a very physical game tonight. You know the crowd is going to be in it. Is MSG is practically a must-win game for the New York Knicks. Usually, game fours of a series, whoever wins that game has the upper hand going forward. Spurs did what they needed to do, winning game 3. Let's see if they can continue that same mindset and mentality to bring to game 4. It's just a couple of hours away at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Thank you so much for watching this practice report, and we'll see you after the Spurs and the Knicks game 4.